Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Lost Generation podcast. Today we are actually recording at night. Not on a sunny Saturday, though. This is a pretty gloomy Wednesday.
No, but it's pretty chill.
Yeah, it's
Lots
pretty
of
chill.
wind.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, autumn is finally here.
Yeah, but because I have to go sit next to Bing, and I'm like,
being in like suit and tie.
well,
Pretty cool though.
Yeah, he's like penguin suit.
Penguins. Shit, what are you talking about,
Like
bro?
European style.
Not wearing
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like businessman, officeman. Yeah, how's work, Bing?
If you guys don't know, I've been working on a
2 weeks, man. Like that's about it, man.
basically don't have much things to do in the company though. But yeah, I like it there.
Yeah, he's doing WeChoice and shit. You know?
Oh, damn.
Sounds pretty important.
I don't want to brag things, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
working for King Mubon.
Okay. So like, King Mui Bone. You can call it Channel 14, bro.
Yeah. It took me like 10
Yeah,
seconds
I'm
to figure out what King Babone means.
Is that like Cambodian channel? I'm like,
Yeah, I
wait,
thought
what?
that was like a rapper or something, like King something.
Yeah, I thought the king of rap some shit. I'm like, oh, hang on. This guy, man.
But anyway, today's topic is cults. This topic is actually on our list for quite some time.
Yep.
But Mark insisted on waiting for Ving to come back because, we want to get the full experience from a cult member himself.
Yeah. He's that one guy who asks a cult leader about things. Like it fits into the motif a little
I'm
bit.
not really a cult member though, but me and Mark got a lot of the same interests back in the days.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like things like conspiracy theories, different.
Just
we just
like-
want to look
yeah.
into different perspective in life in general.
Alternative things. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like what if kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like we ask that
exactly.
question quite a lot, and it's cool to think about, like how this kind of like underlying other topics, that actually exist around the world. So it's cool. Yeah.
Cool. So Ving, you did some pretty heavy research, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While you're at work doing nothing.
So basically,
By wikiing and by doing some Google.
so yeah, from Wiki, I actually looked it up on what is cult and how does it hold a positive value back in the day from
Okay.
like ancient times. So basically, back in the days, people want to search something to make sense of life. So something that can explain nature, disaster, or maybe the prime example of an ancient cult maybe will be paganism, like Mark told me yesterday.
Yeah.
Something about that.
Yeah, tell them a little bit about paganism in a way.
Basically, it's about worshipping multiple gods.
It's more about like people worshiping nature and elements, and they base on that, and they base these kinds of elements onto a certain god. So it can be multiple gods, like polytheism in a way. It's not technically about multiple gods. It's
Like Zeus, Apollo,
yeah, it's more about like
Hades.
people just worshiping nature. Afraid of the nature and its consequences in a way.
And generally, paganism become a small cult back in ancient times.
It's a huge cult actually. Yeah.
In fact, cult comes from the word cultus. Originally describe people who cultivate the worship of certain gods by performing rituals and maintaining temples.
Yeah.
So it's a social movement with a shared commitment to usually an extreme ideology that is led by a charismatic leader. It's kind of similar to religion, but we're not going to talk about that today.
Yeah, I think it's like the initial phase of a certain religion. It's just like an establishing phase.
From
Just
religion.
like the first point.
But what's different is that that charismatic leader in a cult is someone who is very narcissistic. So he's authoritarian,
Yeah.
which is motivated by three things, which is sex, money, and power. He claims that he can answer big life questions.
Yeah.
For example, what is the meaning of life? What is happiness? What is death?
Yeah.
Or even work, success. That's basically how he control his members. And
through
exploit their
manipulation
members.
in a
Yeah,
way.
through
So
manipulation.
yeah,
basically.
I think like the foremost differentiation of a cult and a religion is that a charismatic leader. The one that can manipulate people give them what they want, you know,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
by that they gain their trust and try to take an advantage of them. So that is maybe like the first thing that separates a cult and a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually the one who got like taken advantages of is vulnerable people. So
Yeah.
someone who undergone loss, who is lack of self-confidence.
Divorce,
or-
insecure.
Exactly.
I'm
Sounds
looking
like
at you.
someone.
And sometimes loneliness can be the big
Yeah.
factor when someone
Lego
joins
loving
your life.
people,
Yeah.
Batman.
You're talking about me?
I'm
Platypus.
kind of describing you, mate. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like they target vulnerable people, or dare I say, even the younger audience in a way, because we as the younger generation, we have tons and tons of questions. You know, like we can't answer things. We are insecure about
Exactly.
stuff, and that is very easy for a lot of these kind of charismatic leaders to kind of take an advantage of us, or even the old people, which is something that we're gonna discuss later.
Later
right?
on.
Yeah.
So overall, religious is just the first begin as a cult, and throughout time it integrated into a larger society. That's how religious is. But while cult is different, it separates member from others, and basically they want the leader will control the members on every aspect of life,
Yeah.
even relationship, financial, living arrangements, all of that.
So they
Yeah.
want to isolate to better control.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a tactic that perhaps I think like what you just described fits perfectly with the current way of a lot of cults, even during the 60s and the 70s, or maybe even now, I don't know.
In ancient times, it started as a positive movement. So people just basically want to serve someone else, and they don't really want it to be exploited or something. They just want it to have something that
Yeah.
they can trust on and rely on back in ancient times.
Yeah, I think one more thing is that it's the context of the environment that they lived in as well. It's like it's an ancient world, so a lot of things they cannot be explained
Yeah.
because like the scientific explanation wasn't there for them to answer. So that's why
Exactly.
like they try to come up, or maybe they try to get into a community where these answers can be answered.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why context is also another reason why cults exist, I guess. You know, it's interesting. They also have another motive, which is the apocalypse or the end of days kind of thing. You know, like it's based on the heaven concept of Christianity, Nirvana, or Buddhism, or even Zion of
Zion,
Judaism,
yeah.
which is a Jewish religion. You know, and they try to kind of make people believe that if you join this cult, you have like a hall pass in a way. You can escape the
Escape from
apocalypse.
the reality.
And in a way, it's also another, how to say it, like it's also another thing that they exploit people, is that the desperation of wanting something to escape. For example, in terms of economy, which is also another factor on why people join cults during the
time, it's-
19th century, I think.
Yeah.
And also during the 20th century as well, with the Great Depression. So
There's like an economic crisis back in mid of 19th century, I
yeah,
believe.
exactly. So economic depression, they try to get out of this reality. Dare I say, maybe they thought about it as apocalypse in itself, in a
Yeah.
nutshell,
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And what is interesting is that this kind of economic depression creates the context for a lot of cult leaders to rise up. It leads to during the 60s, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of context. So during the 60s, and why do I emphasize about the 60s, is that it's the time where there was a lot of social movements going on, like the civil rights in America, the sexual revolution of like teenagers, and even like the LSD revolution, where a lot of people just take random pills, man.
Well, yeah.
Like they're tripping out balls like
In
outside of the
1960s.
streets.
Yeah.
It's
Like the
literally
80s,
crazy.
Yeah.
The 80s more about Adderall and shit, but like the 60s was where they break down every single social norms in a way, like the
Okay.
nuclear family ideals of an American dream,
Yeah.
like every conservative movements, they just kind of break it off. They try to get out of it, So it's a very interesting period to me, and I have always liked it. But it's also one of the eras where these kind of cult leaders kind of rise up and taken advantage of. For example, Jim Jones.
Yeah.
So because of all of this revolution, they try to find meanings of things. They try to get into these communities, to have fun, to mess around, or even just to kind of rebel with the parents' generation. So that's why, like during this kind of period, there are like tons and tons of cults in North America or even in Europe, because people at heart, they wanted to create a peaceful community for people to come and then to join hands and then fucking sing their songs. But then this kind of things leads to, like the rise of these people, and it leads to a lot of shit, which is why right now, the term cults are often just describe this very fucked up group of individuals that join together to maybe like create terrorism or some shit, So it's very interesting, like when you think about cults, it started out as just like a pure ideal thing, I guess. At times, maybe in ancient times, maybe even during the sexual revolution, which is why people just want to have fun. But then these kind of leaders just came up and then they took advantage and they make this into a negative impact, and I just felt like it's interesting.
Something interesting that I saw in some documentaries or even movies that depict cults is that whenever a member is having doubts and wanted to leave, then the leader would come or like a bunch of people would come and like show love and affection towards that person and told them things like, if you go back out there, then the world just chaos and you will get nothing but
It's like you are here with us because of peace, peace brings you here.
That's how
and
they
that kind of
connect to you,
it's the manipulation thing. But when you think about these cult leaders, it's very interesting when I'm going back a little bit, like the economy context, like these people and most of the names that I mentioned, which is Manson, Jim Jones, they came from a very poor background. So in a way, they try to escape things as well. And in a fucked up way, they create cults, but in their own version of it, which is why, to me, like, I don't felt like a lot of cults are just as bad. Maybe just some, but like it's very interesting when you did the research on it, and
As they're too poor, they just want to exploit people,
Yeah, and then it's just like over time, maybe they got into the grandeur of things, like they are the leader after all, so they have this kind of like power, and they are playing God. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that during the 60s, it was more about people are the divine beings, like the souls. It's just like, like you are just a mortal being. You are hiding a vessel inside of you, which are divine. Like it's kind of just crazy, like it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo kind of thing, but it's interesting. And that's why people got taken advantage because of that. Most of the time, young people, because I think like the Jonestown massacre was technically not just young people, but a lot of young families were there and they got killed. It's fucked up. It comes back to the fact that maybe it started out very pure. People are trying to discover themselves, try to break the mold of their parents' generation, of the greatest generation, which is after World War II. But then these people taking advantage of it.
Hippie, right?
It's very hippie. It's like
hippie,
it's a term to describe these kinds of people who are very nature oriented. Just like wants to bring back like
They're very
Sounds like my
peaceful, very spiritual, and they basically like
it's like a phase of discovery in a way, but like of your own self. Of the freedom of expression that you had around the time, but because of these people, it's fucked. Because by the 70s, like it turned into shit. During the 70s, it was very real for a lot of people, especially Americans, because like these kind of events happen, and they realize that the world is not as dreamy as it used to be. So it leads, and again, it kind of brings this negativity towards cults.
During my research, I found out that not all cults are religious. So if you take the religion aspect out of the cult, then don't you think that's just kind of a club or a community in a way?
For the period I was talking about, like they most often based on a established religion. I
Yeah.
think what you are describing is a new religious movement, which
New
is like
social
modern
movement,
day,
yeah.
where I think the technology and the way that we have progressed kind of spuns out into different topics that maybe we can create cults out of things, which is
Out of
also what
anything.
we are going to discuss later, I
later
guess.
on,
But yeah, it's interesting because at core, like cult is just like a gathering of people for a common cause, you know. So technically, Lost Generation is a cult.
It's a cult, man.
we
This thing is a cult.
we look forward to like a meeting to discuss about a certain
Actually,
topic.
we don't look forward to it.
No, I'm just saying it in figure of speech, you know.
And we have a leader too.
Ideally speaking.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, we have a leader. Your wing is like
Charismatic leader.
charismatic. Legoland stuff, you know, Wimbledon, like frat boy kind of thing. Like he's charismatic, you know, like he has this kind of suicidal thoughts as well. So I'm like, oh my god.
Describing me as like Jim Jones or something, bro.
You look like Jim Jones, bro. He has glasses and shit. He always like wears suits and stuff.
Yeah, and he loves having us over at his place.
Like he
so-
went to like supermarket and
Okay,
he wears
guys,
suits,
okay,
man.
guys, stop.
No, but yeah.
Viewers think that I'm crazy or something. Yeah.
You are, man.
Yeah, but there were a lot of sects in a religion.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and one of those that I know of is Mormons. Like they consider themselves a religion, an
It
official
technically
religion.
is a religion, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but the Christians consider them a cult. They don't consider them something legit.
We can also say that, you know, a lot of established religions, they also condemned a lot of their own sects, or a lot of other religions they deem heretical, you know. So, but we're not going to discuss about it for sure. But like, yeah, so that's why I think like the cult term now is very loosely used
Yeah.
to just describe everything by now. But again, it's because of this kind of people that I just told you guys. It's like this Jim Jones,
That's how
this Manson guy, this
They-
think.
Yeah.
No, like this kind of guy, you know, they kind of fuck it up the meaning of like a peaceful cult.
Yeah.
Because you know, like they get suicidal, they get sexual exploitation
Yeah.
needs, you know, it's crazy, and that's why, you know, a lot of people just
I think
assume
those
things.
accidents actually popularized the word cult
Yeah,
in a negative way though.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why like the 60s very big impact on the world, you know, because like after all of this kind of events, you know, literally the 70s is very dark, because the 60s was where people tried to discover themselves, but then they found out that it's really fucked up, you know, like because of all of these kinds of people, you know. Yeah. But how about like the modern movements though, you know?
The modern movement.
Yeah.
I mean, according to scientists or some articles that I read, there's a decrease in religious belief in the people. And all the religion blame science for that, because now we have scientifically proven explanation for pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, there are a lot of new religions and cults. So does science actually play a part in, you know, the decrease of religious beliefs, or it's just because those established religions became irrelevant and some particular ideas are outdated? For example, like homosexual or abortion, for example.
Damn, that's like 3 questions in one. No, it's literally that.
He's giving out combo, man.
Okay, so you were saying about the dwindling of the established religion, right? Which
Yeah.
is not much, to be honest. It's still like the top 4 most
Yeah,
like.
they're still going strong. I'm
Yeah,
not-
Christian. I think like Islam is the most worshipped religion at the moment, and then Christianity, I think,
Yeah,
and then
Buddhism.
not necessarily Buddhism. Okay, I'm quite fucked at this, but like yeah, something like that. So like it's dwindling, but not, you know, not like in a very accelerating kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so science. I think ironically, science plays 2 parts. It plays into the first part that it plays is that it becomes another motive for a lot of this, a lot of new religious movement to base on.
Yeah.
Which you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
Heaven's Gate was established in the 80s, but it already have this kind of like UFO theme, you know, like science shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, it ironically, it became like a part of a new religion.
Just because of technology.
You know, Scientology as well. It
Yeah.
based on this kind of like mumbo jumbo about like science
and
fiction
fucking
shit.
made a film
You
out
know?
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like that film with John Travolta. I forgot. I think like Viet would know. Yeah, I think
Hey,
Viet would know. Shout out to Viet, by the way. The second part that it plays is that sure, it can be a main contribution to why people are more skeptic about religions and about how they perceive cults. You know, because I think with our generation, we have all of this technology in our hands and we can find information like right away.
Exactly.
So we can verify shit. Not like the 60s where
They
telephones
don't
doesn't
even
even
have
exist.
Phones.
You know, like they have like mails.
They have like
If I say like
flip phone.
the sky is falling, pretty much like 12 people would agree with me. You know, so I already have a cult. You know, it's very easy because like telecommunication during the 60s or even way back, you know, it was not exist at all. So we have this information, and that's why, yeah, a lot of people are more skeptic towards religion or the idea of a divine being within you. You know, so yeah.
Yeah.
And another question, I guess, right? You have another question, right? I just answered two.
Yeah.
I think you have another one.
yeah,
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I think cults or the new religious movements, as they call it, are really smart. They're like smart businessmen, businesswomen, business folks.
Yeah, essentially, it's like
incorporating
an
science.
organization
Yeah.
where they profit. Yeah.
Heard Tom Cruise was in there. Scientology.
They in he's in Scientology, sure.
Yeah.
So another trend is that people are focusing more on spirituality rather than religion. So yeah, it's kind of like cult, like you yourself is a higher being or higher conscious or something like
so
that.
So they are very heavily influenced by also the 60s and 70s as well. It's like where people find themselves, right?
And basically they just want to have more compassion towards everyone because religion.
That's always the initial phase.
Yeah, the initial phase.
Find passion in each other. Find compassion.
Yeah, because basically you rely on religion to give you judgment towards everyone else, while spirituality is just focusing on yourself and like give everyone the benefit of the doubt or seeing things through their lens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there are many cult leaders using spirituality as a way to gain more cult members. For example, on YouTube, actually, a lot of cult members have a growing YouTube channel.
Well,
and
yeah,
everyone
it-
is like
yeah.
buying into that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like there's this thing called Unicult.
Right.
Yeah, it's very rainbowy, unicorny, and it's founded by a girl who has depression and anxiety.
Right.
And she just wants her depression to end. And she actually had a suicide attempt, but she failed. And when she came back from that, she decided that, okay, so I'm still here, so I should do something to like make use of this life that I have in a way. Yeah, so now she's like hosting Instagram lives every week and spreading the message.
Yeah, I think like
Didn't hear about
if
that.
the 60s had social media, they would fucking use it wholeheartedly.
Well,
but that's why it's so ironic is that like technology, which is stems from science,
Yeah,
somehow
it's pretty funny.
become the mouthpiece for a lot of these cultists to, you know, to spread them wrong message. But what you said was also very interesting is that the girl in itself, she has a very right idea on doing that because she was once suicidal, right? So in a way, like it's not about gaining profit at 1st. It sounds actually quite pure. It's that like maybe she
still
wants to
not gaining any profit at the moment,
you know.
as far as I know.
Sure, like maybe she just want to raise awareness. But like that's so interesting is that this kind of people, if they have just a tiny amount of like charisma, they somehow can persuade people of doing things.
Yeah.
Like just imagine if there was one guy, you know, who is suicidal as well, but he thought about something that is in another fucked up way. He can use this kind of thing and then persuade people on doing things. So it's very it's very gray area, you know. Like sometimes you want to do the good thing, you know, like to to spread message. For example, like, I used to have suicidal thoughts as well. But if I just think like, oh, everybody needs to fucking die like me, you know, like it's gonna stem into like the
crazy.
further territory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And another religion, so-called, that I found is called Copimism. It's Kopimism, and it's literally the word "copy me," like copy and paste.
Right.
And it's
This one is very confusing because I think like she told us last night and I didn't actually get it at all because I was sleepy as well. So I'm like, I
it's
kind of get
actually
it.
an
Yeah.
internet religion.
Like, technology thing. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's an internet religion founded by a 19-year-old
How
philosophy
Damn.
student
Yeah.
in Sweden. And basically, they're all about all information should be freely distributed and
It's like-
unrestricted.
Yeah. It's like side note a little bit. Like in his resume, it's like
Yeah.
copy me organization. It's like, interesting. Are you a startup? No, I create a cult.
It's actually the missionary church of Copimism.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
And they held a wedding
That's-
in 2012.
The first wedding
The first
of
wedding.
the community, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So someone is going to be born in a community, bruh. Think about it. By a 19-year-old guy.
Yeah. What the
Dude.
fuck, right?
Like a-
no, maybe he's actually 29 now because he
What?
founded in
Wow,
2010.
Whatever. It's like, I'm still thinking it's really fucked up.
Still, right?
I bear this child for you. Like, no.
Yeah, bear this child with my college degree at the same time. What the fuck?
Yeah, serve this community forever. Jesus Christ. You know, like, it's really fucked up when you think about it.
Yeah, it's
Go on.
hilarious and
Yeah.
scary at the same time.
Yeah.
But basically, they value the sacredness of
Yeah.
information, and they believe that we should have access to every piece of information that we want, even like top secret or any crazy FBI, CIA thing you can imagine, pretty
It'd be
much.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll be
it's
living
still
in it.
about individualist ideals.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think a lot of these new cults and religions are pretty much about self-expression in a way. They want to express themselves, but like even beyond.
Yeah.
And maybe a club, a community is not enough for them. They
Yeah.
want to go extreme.
And it's just like a continuation of the ones that I just mentioned in the 60s and 70s. It's just like they combine technology in their
Yeah.
motive and
Yeah.
also in their ways of communicating with their members as well, which is, I think, even more fucked up. When you have all of this technology, you can pretty much do whatever you want. So everyone can do things, you know,
yeah.
like for example, 3 of us, now we can fucking talk to people,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, we have fans.
And
Our
exactly, so it's very gray area on saying like, okay, are you meant that in a good way or a bad way? You know, like it's all about this manipulating.
It's all about
thing.
perspective. I think.
It's all about
Yeah.
perspective. But to me, I find cult very disturbing. You know, some of the documentaries that I have seen, it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one I showed you in my house, right?
That's not technically. It's like an initiation, invitation kind of video.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
But like
something that's just
documentary
fucked
about
up.
Jim Jones, you know, the
Oh,
Jonestown.
okay.
They literally killed a congressman in Africa because like he was trying to find
Trying to
out what happened. He came to Africa and he got shot, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about it. Charles Manson, he killed fucking Roman Polanski, which is a douchebag as well, but he killed Sharon Tate, which end like the old Hollywood kind of glamour shit, and it turns into the 70s. You know? It end the hippie movement as well because now people mistrust hippies.
The hippies.
These fucking hippies, man, get the fuck out of here. You know, like they create chaos.
Chaos,
yeah.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
why I felt like religions I can tolerate because I don't necessarily I think I'm spiritual, but I don't have a certain religious thing going on to me. But yeah, I say I'm spiritual, so I don't mind religions, but cults in itself,
It's just
I'm
distorted,
very
right?
skeptic about it, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
all of us have to kind of take notice of it.
Yeah, so basically to sum up, we come up with like 5 basic reasons to create a cult, which is economic background.
Of the cult leaders.
Of the cult leaders, yeah.
I'm eating
basically.
grapes, sorry. So that's why I'm about
The second one is a charismatic leader, and this one is pretty obvious.
like Ving.
Yeah.
A very manipulative one.
Very
No, like exactly
manipulative.
like Ving.
Yeah. The next one is the context of the time period.
Yeah.
And the other one is they mostly aim at younger audience.
Or maybe dare I say vulnerable people.
Yeah, vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one is individualism ideals.
Yeah. Explore things about ourselves, privacy kind of thing. You know, it just goes on and on.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys, can you just enlighten us on why you insisted on doing this episode? Because me and Thương are pretty tired of this.
Pretty tired of what?
Of you both.
This is a very interesting episode. I actually told my friends about this. So do you want to tell me why did you wanted to do on this topic?
You told your friends?
You're
Why
doing
don't
the
we have-
Oprah thing with me again, man. Jesus
This
Christ.
is the
No,
Super
it's just
Soul podcast.
again, it comes back to like the hobbies that I have. It's like I try to find new information to try to read about events and stuff. So that's why I came across cults, or you know, I just love looking in another lens of, you know, things. But it's also kind of personal because like when I was in Sydney, next to my school was I think Harris Street, where people just walk around, you know. And again, like in Sydney, you would often just walk. They would often have these people in robes, you know, not exactly like Buddhist robe, but like just random robes. And they just come to you and say, hey, do you have any time to talk and discuss about this kind of new thing? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But so I didn't really mind for I think like the first few years when I was in there. It's just like, dude, I have no fucking time, bro. I need to go to school. But because of my anxiety and stuff, and you know, you guys already know this by now. You know, I was kind of lost in terms of like motivations. I was kind of losing my passion about pretty much everything. I just sat down in my house, literally nothing. So that's why when someone like that came to me, I was actually considering, should I join a religion or at that time maybe a cult, you know? And then I tried to look it up because I think like that kind of guy, that guy is a representative of a cult that based around the ideologies of Christianity. So I looked it up. I looked up Christianity. I looked up all kinds of religions actually. And I don't know. I think like around that time, I just felt like I could just embrace the fact that, you know, like I am on the verge of discovering things instead of purely based on someone else. Because like when I read the pamphlet, it's quite shady as well. It's like 10% discount for students, you know, like what kind of religion is this? It's like an ice cream shop.
You have to.
It's like Ben and Jerry. Yeah, hang on. Like I'm piss poor, bro. And then you have to pay money and then discount. It's like it's very shady. But and also, you know, like reading about Christianity, Islam, it's wonderful. You know, when it's first started out, but a lot of people. Well, I think I have to clarify that I don't like extremism of religion. So that's that. So it's fine if you follow any religion, whatever. But it's just like at that time, I read about the history and stuff like that, and I felt like, you know, it's very contradictory to what it preach. So yeah, so that's why, you know, this kind of topic I wanted to do it.
Yeah, just our personal thoughts. We're not attacking anyone.
I'm not attacking
any religion.
Again, like what I said before.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. Just don't make it
right.
too extreme. As such as, you know, like terrorism, things like that. Whatever. Yeah, we have a group member who is Catholic, you know, so it's fine. I'm embracing all kinds of people. It's just like don't go extremism. And that's it. Don't go to cults, basically. Yeah, this guy.
Wait. So is ISIS a cult? Just like
Essentially, yes. It's like
a
it's
modern
diverged from Islam, and then it creates this kind of like fucked up ideology about things, about like how the world has been westernized, and they are the saviors of the world from the tyranny of Westerners, you know.
And
So
they
in a way,
actually-
essentially,
yeah.
they are cults. Al Qaeda as well. So I think that's my differentiation, is that when you make a cult and you make it too extreme, you know, then it's a fucked up cult. But if it's just about like people liberating themselves and they consider themselves family, but not fucked up family,
Yeah,
then it's
don't be
fine.
fucked up
You know?
family.
Just go meditating and shit. Don't go blow up people.
Yeah.
How about you?
I
Ben?
actually have a different perspective about that.
Yeah,
about
because
cult.
you were in the part of a cult. You like burning things, you know, on the ground and stuff,
No,
right?
not really. I actually believe in things that they told me. So back in like last years, I was pretty desperate on following on something because I don't know what to do.
So that's same
But-
with me, right?
Yeah, basically. My family, they follow Buddhism, but I don't really believe in religion movement. That's why when I look into things like what is the meaning of life, how death is, and all of that stuff, and a Vietnamese blogger, I look it up online and everything just sucked me in. They talk about the rule of life, law of one, Taurus, Fibonacci, how everything should be in order for human in order to them to create a society.
Wow.
And what I have become to realize is that it's very deceptive and manipulative. They teach me things on I've never come through before, and it actually helped me in life. So it actually brightened up my mindset. I was thinking more positively on
Yeah.
because they let me feel like I'm the special one in the world.
Okay.
So yeah, so like you were created for a
You're like
reason.
the perfect target for cults. No, it's like,
Like
sure, you know, like I think another reason that you didn't mention is that you love motivational speaks. You know,
that's-
you love
that's,
reading motivations.
Like self-help
books, right?
book.
Yeah, self-help.
I really like self-help
Yeah.
books, and basically they are giving me a reason or a purpose to follow in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from that, like my knowledge was enhanced, my emotion was getting better.
So
And,
basically, you surrounded yourself with living self-help books. In a way.
No,
yeah,
in another reality.
but
What's interesting to me is that you said you don't really believe in established religions. However, you join cults because you find yourself elevating.
I didn't join it though.
Wanted.
You didn't join it, sure, but you kind of got
Sucked
a good
into it.
impression of
Yeah,
it because
very good
it helped
impression.
you. But they also based on established religion as well, right?
That's the thing.
So you know, it's no, it's really interesting when you think about it. It's like
No, maybe it's about the preaching and like communicating with the
it comes back to
members,
the charismatic leader, I think,
Yeah.
or like the context of like maybe again people just kind of assume that like established religions lies to them. That's why they try to find alternatives. You know, so it's fine. I think again it's a gray area to say like if cults are totally bad or good.
Yeah.
A lot of people would find it good.
Yeah.
you
For
know.
me, for example,
For- yeah,
it has
for me.
changed me like
Yeah.
significantly.
For me, I thought it was fine, but I didn't join just because of the history that I knew about the cult or
The
about
student
religion
discount.
in general. Your student discounts, like fucking Ben and Jerry. It's like buy one free one book. I'm like, no way, bitch. This is crazy.
Yeah, if you join that cult, then maybe
Yeah, how can-
they
yeah.
have some vouchers.
How
for
can
you.
I fucking elevate myself
Giving
if I
you a
have to buy a book for $69?
Giving you a
Like
promotion.
basically, I need to fucking work. You know? No, it sounds really dumb because like you are a divine being just living in a vessel, but this vessel has to work to get a book on how to unlock my soul.
And I'm
it's
the
crazy,
stupid one
you
who
know?
believe in
When you
that.
think about the logic, oh yeah.
And I'm the one who believe in all of that.
Oh hell yeah, man! I think like you spend $1,000 on like a statue or some shit, right? It's crazy.
But yeah, in Vietnam we actually have a cult.
No, it had tons of cults
Tons of
based on
cults.
Buddhism.
But
and,
one
like,
of the most popular one is the
which are-
yeah, Hội
Hội
Thánh
Thánh
Church,
Đức Chúa Trời.
or what they
What?
call Church of God. Basically, just like a group of members, they just leave their family.
Yeah. What's
take-
interesting is that like they use fucking psychedelic drugs, I think.
Is it? Did they?
I think
Did
there
they
was some
drink
like
something?
there was some hints because like there were videos showing a lot of people are going crazy, and shit,
Damn, they're having some good trips over there.
which very cult-like. That's fucking Heaven's Gate shit. Kuwait kind of thing.
And they have a
Yeah.
leader too. Yeah, they have a very.
Everybody knows that. Man. We get it. Charismatic leaders. You make your point.
Manipulated one.
Yeah, it's very cult-like. That one you know, people need to be careful about.
So speaking of gods or like superhuman beings, I didn't have any direct experience with cults, but my
Like
dad kind of did. Yeah, like secondhand experience.
Jesus Christ.
So basically, after the family incident, my dad was kind of lost, and he went to Buddhism to find answers. We actually did join some meditating classes in Thailand, and then he got more into Buddhism even more than before. It's actually because some of his friends recommended this class that I'd like to call the meaning of life class, because essentially they give answers to big life questions. Like you said, it's very culty. What is happiness? What is the meaning of life? What are you doing on earth?
Yeah.
But it's
Basically,
success,
yeah. So he got into that because his friends told him that, is there something bugging you? Are you doing okay?
No.
Yeah, is your family okay? And
Yeah.
my dad was like, no, how do you know? And they're like, oh, we know.
No, they
Oh, we
We know.
they know how to kind of tell you, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm
they
like,
have this tone of voice. They have this mannerism.
yeah,
That
and
makes you feel like
I was just like, yo, dad, they could have heard that from anyone.
Yeah.
They don't
Exactly.
just know.
But like what they do is also interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Like they have this kind of like comforting mannerism
Yeah.
to lure you in because
Yeah,
like they say
especially
like
for a man.
we all have
Yeah.
pains, man.
Yeah.
We all have pains in our minds and soul.
Yeah.
But if you join us,
trying to understand you. Yeah.
you are a part of us.
Yeah, that is
We
true.
can become united.
Like
and
a
strong.
family
You
or
know, like
something.
that's kind of fucking like you know what? I can be a cult leader in a way. With this kind of thing going on.
You know.
Yeah, we know what birthed after this episode, guys.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
The lost religion. And how to not forget about
You
it.
pissed off by the lost mixtape, but now you want to do the lost
Lost
religion.
religion.
But yeah, like they have this very manipulate but also comforting. That makes
Yeah.
people just feel like they can pour things out. Because
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
come back to your story a little bit, is that you know your father needs someone to kind of you know.
Yeah, especially for
him
someone
into
who's not
comfort
really
zone,
used to opening up like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
basically, he joined that for like quite some months. He joined the meeting weekly, but later on he had to quit because he was going on quite some business trips, and they cannot accept that. They said that you have to be there all the time.
my
You
God.
cannot miss just one meeting. If you miss one meeting, you have to do like a test to like get back into like you catching up with all your
Wow.
other
Like
mates.
Xenu,
That's
Scientology,
stupid.
shit.
Yeah. My dad was like not going crazy, but he was really into that like pretty much every
Yeah.
day he would talk about that
Yeah.
with me. Like, do you know the six elements for happiness? And I'm like, I've
Yeah.
had enough of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's true when you look at it that way, but then it's not all about black and white, you know?
It's about perspective.
It's about
Yeah.
perspective.
If it's
yeah.
good for
Basically,
you,
it's about-
you can follow it a little bit. But if it's kind of shady, you need to
Yeah.
know when and where to back up. You know?
Yeah.
And don't join something that it's really obscure. Maybe join something like a motivational group that is
Yeah.
well established in a
Yeah,
way. Because
it's
some
exactly like that. Actually,
Because
they
some-
don't gain any profit from the members. Actually, it's totally free.
Yeah.
And like there are speakers who are like 8-year-olds who talks
TED
like
Talk,
a
you know?
fucking
TED Talk.
old man or something like.
Yeah.
What the fuck's
Yeah,
going on?
just don't get your head buried into the sand.
Yeah.
And then when you realize, maybe sometimes it's too late. You can't get out.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
You have
yeah.
to disconnect from your family.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, but like like it's fine. We don't judge anybody if you actually in a group that somehow have the same similar characteristics that we have just mentioned.
Yeah.
But just know when to stop, or just know when that you actually don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Because to me, I think like I found myself because of me. You know, well, with the help of a lot of people, but not exactly because of someone else on the sky. But not to say that I disregard religion. It's fine. You know, I actually love to read about history and religion, so it's fine.
You're always crazy when
and
we
I like
mention.
Thuong. You know, I love as a
We
good
love
friend.
Thuong.
Yeah. But that's why you have no judgment. It's just like what we say. It's the definition and the context of how it is.
That's how we form our group, right?
Yeah, because of Ving as well. He's very charismatic, man. Like I was kind of lost and shit, and then I found the guy. He's like pamphlets.
And I lead you, right?
Yeah, you bought like Ben and Jerry like 2-1 and like a book.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think this is good enough. You should go ahead and found your own cult or something.
Oh hell yeah! I'm gonna try to be like elevating to the sky.
Love cult, man.
You know, the second coming of like Buddha, Bubba, whatever.
Like
Jeebus.
Boba.
Yeah.
Wait, we
Like
can
Jeebus.
target like a Boba crazies out there.
Oh
Like
shit!
Buddha and Boba.
Talking about boba. Can we get boba after this?
Man, fuck you. I tell them a little bit about paganism in a way.
So,
Ý là
đừng nghe, không thì nó bị ăn nó bị ông bắt đầu chưa, tại vì ông định nói là ông bị kéo vào. So